don't all of you have to wonder? You got to send love. But don't you all have to wonder how those who are still sleeping are still asleep? It's like, bam, right in your face, and they still don't see it. It makes me, wow. I just do this every day. Thank Jesus that I'm not one of them. What will it take them? But here's the sad part. How embedded are they in the Luciferian matrix that they can't see the truth? All of you, just about all of you, have seen the movie The Matrix, right? We watched it here too once with the so-called author who wasn't the author. Okay, the movie The Matrix was about taking people, hooking up to them, and making a pretend world where only a projection of them existed. It's kind of cool. And it's like you had to pull out to disconnect to get out of the matrix. And that's what's happening. And it's just, you got to think they're so hooked into that Luciferian matrix that they can't unplug themselves. But the biggest thing, I'm learning this also, because let's face it, oh, come on, nobody lie. We've all made fun of the masks people. We've all made fun of they're the only ones in the car, driving the car by themselves, and they've got a mask on, or they're in the ocean swimming all by themselves, and they got a mask on, and you're like, oh, dear God, what's the matter with them? Come on, we all did that. But you have to, you got to look at it. If they're coming after you, if they're being nasty to you, we're talking about people we loved. I'm not talking about strangers you have no clue about, but mankind in general. But people we love. We've all had loved ones that have turned on us. Think we're do, right? And things like that. And of course, they're right about everything. And you've really got to look at them. Something came to me, and I'll put it this way. Something came to me that, because my brothers are attacking me about my mom and all this other crap. And I'm like, why? Why? Do I continue to fight, or do I continue to go against, or do I continue on any of that? Because, oh my gosh, they're so hooked up to the Luciferian energy, they can't see truth anymore. And if we start doing this, which we all do, I've done it too, right? When someone comes at you, sometimes you just want to get right back at them. But even if you're in a fight for something with family, and if we start doing this, they're taking us into it instead of us bringing them out of it. So have compassion for all these people. By the grace of God, it's not you. And that's a good thing. So when you go to sleep at night, be very, very grateful that you see the truth. And I got to tell you, think of the people at the next level, whether they're on this plane or not, whether it's the angelic realm, whatever it is, the ascended master realm, Yeshua, think of them. Be so grateful that they have the patience they have with us. If they had the amount of patience that we had with the peeps wearing the mask and still going on, and we go, why are we still dragging this? Because these momos haven't woke up. If they had our kind of patience, we'd never be awake. Can you imagine what they're saying? Oh, dear God, now the momos know they've got the Christ light, but they're not doing the darn thing with it. Look at them still struggling. When are they going to get it? We're no different. And we're doing the same thing We're doing that to the ones who are still wearing the mask on. When are they going to get that this was a fraud? How dense can they be? What do you think the angelic and the ascended masters are saying about us? How dense can they be? Look at them. They really lock themselves into this third dimensional realm. Look, they can't even figure it out. So remember, what comes out of your mouth, someone's coming out of their mouth about you. Michelle's is great. She said, I'm sure Yeshua would like to smack some of us with his sandal. Now, if he was Italian, he'd throw it at you and he'd catch you right back of the head. I'm going to say this again as best I can, and this is the end of my popcorn. Make sure before you open your mouth. Believe me, I know it's a different culture to do this. It's a very different culture to do this. Make sure before you open your mouth, you ask the Christ light to speak for you. Big difference is going to happen. And as much as, can you imagine? Just imagine Serapis Bey, Mary Magdalene, Melchizedek sitting around going, do you hear them? Do you hear them? They're screaming for help down there. Do you hear them? Gosh, no matter how loud I put the TV on, they still keep hearing it. We can't shut them up down there. Oh my God. Miriam, you got any suggestions? She's like, I got this cotton. You can put the light balls in your ear, the light ears. Oh my gosh, all they do is scream and down. Look at them. And they're causing themselves their own pain. What's the matter with them? When are they going to figure it out? And Yeshua comes in and just says, have patience with them. They know not what they do. Visualize that. I mean, it's got to be a hoot up there. Those momos, they'll never get it. But we have to have a little patience with the other people. I'm not going to let anyone hold me back. I would hope you wouldn't either. But I'm not going to step on them and make fun of them on the way up. Because the minute you start making fun of someone, an individual, and I learned this the hard way with my brothers, and Yeshua yelling at me. Yelling's not the word, but you know what I mean. The minute you start getting upset with them is the minute you're back into the Luciferian energy yourself. So the best thing to do is stop. You know what, Yeshua? Here's these two people. Take care of it. I'm done. Take care of it. Since the Bible commandment is not to work on Sabbath, does that mean we're not to spend money at stores, restaurants, entertainment, etc., causing others to work even though they don't keep Sabbath? Absolutely. It says, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. And the true, the real commandment says not his servant, not his oxen, not his manservant, nothing. So what that means is, they've been altered. It's okay. No, I can't find it right now. But what that means is nothing. The Sabbath, if you ask somebody to work for you on the Sabbath, then you're breaking the law. See, this is why they want you, this is how they got you breaking the law. So the Sabbath is Saturday. It's not Sunday. So what did they make the holy day? Sunday. So the Christians break the law. And what does it say? You have to honor the law. There you go. So if you don't honor the law, then you're not in righteousness. And if you're not in righteousness, you're not aligned with the divine. Somebody writes, it would be tough to run a hospital and close it on Saturday. You know what? It would be easy if everybody was in their Christ light. We wouldn't need a hospital. Ooh, no, 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 no. That is so not true, Alan. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Where did I put that stuff? I had it yesterday. I was reading it to Mr. Sam. No, 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 no. And a lot of people think this. So no, so no, so no, so no. So no. He says in the New Testament, it says you don't need to honor the law, you need to accept Jesus. No, Jesus never, ever, ever, ever said that. What he did, I am here to fulfill the law. He's honoring the law. So must you. He says it a million times. Let's see, I actually have that. I was just reading that yesterday. Yep. Got it. This is how much I wrote on this thing. So funny. And we were talking about this last night. Here. Okay, so let's go math 22, 34 through 40. Master, which is the greatest commandments in the law? Why would he be talking about the law if it wasn't the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The two virtues produced by the law according to Jesus. So it's from the Old Testament. It's the law. And the law is summarized in the 10 Commandments. There are 613 commands in the Torah, and they can be reduced to 10. But I want to get, because I wrote a whole big thing, the source of the law. Okay, so the whole idea that the source of the 10 Commandments and the entire legal system of the Bible builds its nest in the character of the divine creator. The Lord God is the only source of law in the world, for there is only one lawgiver, and that's in Judges 4:12. So you're not to break the law. And even in the New Testament, it says, if you do something wrong, repent. Oh gosh, I made a mistake. So it doesn't give you free reign to just do whatever. I'm looking for something. Oh, well, I guess I can't find it, so I'm not going to. I can't find what I was looking for. But it was for those who believe that, I wrote this a long, long time ago. For those who believe that if you don't need to follow it because Jesus is going to take it, okay. That's not true at all. Not one bit. He came here to fulfill it. You know, and you got to think about this. If it wasn't a law book, and he said he came here to fulfill the law. That means the Old Testament is the law. I mean, why did they write it? Just for fun? No. Just for entertainment? No, it's the law. And society is built on the law. Okay, you can follow the Jewish law then. It's whatever you like. This is why we had nations. And we weren't supposed to interbreed. After the ark, people went to different nations because each nation was supposed to rise up together as an individual and a nation. When the nation became, that's what happened to the Mayans. All the Mayans got to a certain level, poof, they were taken to another dimensional plane. We're not doing that because we're interbreeding too much. And it's not that there's anything wrong, but you came here for, let's say some of us came here to master XYZ. Some of us came here to master ABC. Well, the ones that are here XYZ, maybe they're all Italians. The ones for ABC, maybe they're all Spaniards. So let's put all the ABCs on one continent and all the XYZs on the other continent. It doesn't mean anybody's better than anybody else. What it means is you're like-minded. You are here for the same reason, and your community will assist you. It doesn't matter if you're mixed. It doesn't matter at all. Because everything has been so perverted. We're talking the time of Noah. I mean, oh, look at the Roman Catholics. Oh, we can't say that's perverted. She means like Asian and Spanish. That's what she means. The continents are no longer what they used to be. But so many people always ask me, well, why did we all go to different tongues? They made different languages so that we didn't communicate with each other, so that their beliefs stayed their beliefs, and our beliefs stayed our beliefs, and your beliefs stayed your beliefs, and that's how it was. And it didn't mean anybody was better or worse. It meant everybody was here to experience their own type of thing. Think about this. You're sitting up there. Hey, let me come down and play in this arena, and there's the way back home in that arena. Ooh, I'm going to take continent number 5. And then it got all screwed up. Super screwed up. Super duper. And then darkness took over the 3rd level of Earth. It got worse and worse and worse. And now we are living in the matrix. All of us are living in the matrix of Luciferian energy. And that is what we're here to undo. So, it's like the Jewish people use the Torah. The Asian people have the Buddha. They're different things. And the law in that particular nation is based off of the beliefs. Therefore, they work with those beliefs, and that's their experience on how they're going to reach their ascension, A, as an individual, and B, as a society. We're not doing that anymore. America's the what? The melting pot. It's okay to be anything. No, it's not. And Ronald Reagan made the Bible the law. It is the law. And it's the whole Bible, not the little parts. Yes, okay. If you're led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. And you are not led by the Spirit, or you wouldn't be here, so you're under the law. That's the issue. We are still under the law. Alan, do you take a speeding ticket? Then you're not led by the Spirit. You're led by the law of the 3rd dimensional realm. That's the whole concept. We're bound here because we allowed mankind to make law and not the law of the divine. The morals and ethics, Charlie Ward calls it his moral compass. It's the law. It's the absolute law. Absolutely, they're referring to the law of Moses. That's the law. I'm not here to convince you that the Bible is a law book. I'm really not. That's not my job. I present it. If you don't believe it, you're more than welcome. It's okay. But it's a law book. And everything based on the law is based on that book. In the United States, the 1611 book was what the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution is based on this. End of story. There's not even an argument about that. That's what it was based on, and the military has it written in their things. The Pilgrims, the original forefathers, they left that document, which is that it's over there now, which is the big right there. See my finger putting it? That's the big monument, 24-ton or whatever it is monument that they left explaining this is the law book. If you go to Wyoming, they have it right out there for all to see, the 10 Commandments. And here's the part most people don't comprehend. And if you read it through and through, you'll see it. There were 2 tablets that Moses brought. The law of God came down the mountain. There was 2 tablets. There was not 1 through 5 on one and 6 through 10 on the other, like they show in when Charlton Heston did the movie. It wasn't like that at all. 1 through 10, 1 through 10. It was a contract. When you have a contract between one and the other, there's 2 documents. There was 2 tablets. What? You think God can't write small enough to put it on one rock? It was a covenant between man and the divine. And there are parts in the Bible that tell you that. You've got to look for them. It's hidden. It's hidden because it was written in code. It's written in code so that only those, why do you think the dark guys really don't get rid of this? You telling me they couldn't get this off this planet? Of course they can. It's not a big deal to them. And they use this. The darkness uses this too. Everybody uses this. It's the law. It's contract law. And if you don't comprehend everything is contract law, you're not going to get it. So, Alan, going back to your thing, if it's not the law, then you have no dominion over the earth. You have nothing. Then you can be a slave for the rest of your life. And in the Old Testament, where it says you're not to be a slave, oh, that's okay. You can be a slave because it's not the law. And the New Testament says that too, but it's not the law. It's absolutely the law on every level. And until society starts comprehending that, we're not going anywhere. There are individuals out there that are removing some of the obstacles, but that doesn't, I hear this all the time. Oh, we're gonna be free under. No, you're not. You're not going to be free under Trump. You're not going to be free under anybody unless you put the effort in it. It's self-determination. You determine where you want to go. And a lot of people don't want to be free, and that's okay. That's their experience. That's what they're choosing. They want to play the game again and knock their socks off. It's not to judge anybody. And if you don't believe it, that's fine also. There are statutes, there are codes, there are all kinds of things in the Bible that are law words. Our law was based off of this, and it has been destroyed. It's so funny that we were just I was reading all this. I found this. I cleaned up my whole office, and I said, "Ooh, look." Here, so let me read this little section. God's law. The biblical law model rejects the false hope that legislation leads to the salvation of society. The 10 Commandments originate with the Lord thy God, who brought them out of Egypt, wherein God's character is the measure of all things. Because American law germinated from biblical law, early American law did not try to save men or create the great society or a brave new world, the new world, or eliminate poverty or usher in world peace. To the biblical mind, any trust in Washington is idolatry. Put not your trust in princes, which warn of the scriptures. So if you read and you learn the law, then and only then will you stand in righteousness. And in the New Testament, it says you will be judged. Do not judge others. It's not your job, but you will be judged. So if everything's free and clear and you don't have to follow the law, what are you going to be judged on? Right? What are you getting judged on? How many cupcakes you made? No. So I can't get it through enough that how much this is a law book. And that's so very important. And everything, you remember how I said everything in the world is a mimic of what's outside. So whatever's outside, technology, the computers, that's a mimic of us. The memory board, the P. The operating system, it's all us. Everything that's ever been invented is an outermost projection of us, of mankind. The law on the earth is an outermost projection of the law of spirit, which is us. The Christ light, if you're standing in your Christ light, you're not going to beat the crap out of somebody. You just can't. It goes against everything you are. It's called integrity. It's called a lot of things. So in the New Testament, it says, even in Revelations, you will be judged for the works you did, you didn't do, for following the law or not, for standing in righteousness or not. You will be judged for following the law. So there's the law. This is the thing I want everybody to comprehend if they can. Before Yeshua, this is a trust. It's a law document. Okay, let me go back just a little bit so everybody gets it. In every trust, there is something called an indenture. The indenture is the law of the trust. It cannot be changed. A revocable trust or an irrevocable trust. You've heard those words. An irrevocable trust, you can't change the law. A revocable trust says, oh, I can rewrite it. But a real trust, you cannot change the indenture. That's the part that says, you must do this, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this. That's the indenture of a trust. This is a trust. Everything on this earth, everything and anything that is anything worth anything, every bank is a trust. The first logo from Wells Fargo, which I showed not too long ago, says Wells Fargo, America's first trust bank. It's a trust. That's why you don't own your money. It goes into the trust. The trust is a separate entity. You are the beneficiary, and there's an executive trustee who decides what you get. Social Security is a trust. Medicare is a trust. Medicaid is a trust. Healthcare is a trust. What else do we have out there? All those things are trusts. Welfare, a trust. So, and every trust has the law of that particular trust. It's called the indenture. The indenture of this book is the law. And that is the beginning. That's Genesis. And that tells you the law. Okay, so one of the things I wrote about yesterday, and I'm going to mention too, think about this. How many of you ever had a law case? And you go into the court and you go to the law library and you look up the thousands of things. Oh, this is, I'll use Jermaine. This is Jermaine versus Ditmar, September 5th, 1903. The case says this, and this was what the judge deemed as an outcome. And that's case law. You take the case law, if it supports your law, and you bring it into court. And you say, this is what a lawyer does, a liar, but I'm saying if you know how to do it yourself, you bring it in and you say, Your Honor, in Ditmar versus Germain on February 5th, this is what happened. This was the case. It's the same as my case, and this was the outcome. You lost Germain, sorry. And this was the outcome. And the judge has to abide by that because that was law. What do you think all the stories in the Bible are between this one and this one? It's case law. The people came out of Egypt. They worshiped the golden calf. And the law said, you got to wander for 40 years now to clear your race because you slept with the bad guys, that kind of thing. But whatever. It's case law. So if you do the same thing, you will be judged the same. It's case law. It's in there. What do you think they wrote all that for? Entertainment? No. All of this is case law. And I cannot believe this came up because I was reading this whole thing, this document I wrote to Sam last night. I just can't believe this came up today. Wow. So everything, this is the law. It's in there. And then if you don't follow the trust, you have a trust. Okay? Many of you know I studied trust the whole 80s. All from 79 to like 91. The whole 80s. All I did was work on trust. So if you don't follow the law of the trust becomes null and void. And it can be, if it's a type of law, if it's a type of trust that we do now, the common law trust, it can be penetrated by statutory courts then. If you don't follow it properly, if it's not set up properly, if you don't do the steps under the way it is supposed to be done, and you don't have proof of that, your trust is worthless. That's why I know for a fact 98% of the trusts that are out there are garbage because I know the steps that have to be followed and they're not doing them. And I could easily penetrate that with a statutory court, every one of them. They just don't know. And that's the same with you. This is a trust. So if you want to be a beneficiary of this trust, you just got to follow the indenture. If you don't want to be a beneficiary of this trust, okay, don't follow the indenture. It doesn't matter. The great thing about the divine is they gave you free will. You're a divine creator. You can create whatever you choose to create. But there are consequences for your action. Or there are outcomes. I wouldn't even say consequences because consequences is a negative connotation. There are outcomes for your actions. So if you do divine righteousness, the outcome for that action is you will have eternal life. If you don't do divine righteousness and you don't stand in divine righteousness, the outcome for that action is you won't have eternal life and you'll be playing on the dark side. It's that simple. So it's definitely a law book. Definitely. There's no ifs, ands about it. I can read you thousands of passages. This was not my intention to do this today, but I can read you tons of passages that it's the law. You must follow God's law. You must follow the law. The law of Moses, think about this, of Egypt. Think. Use the great brain that you brought here. Moses, when they were in Egypt, right? This is so cool. They were what? What were all the people in Egypt? Slaves. Absolutely, Hildy. They were slaves. Do you know another race of people who were slaves? Anybody? Us? Are we indentured servants? We're slaves. That's right. We are slaves. So then what happened? Moses was born. And Moses brought the word. And he had the connection to the divine and the power of the divine. And he showed them righteousness. And he led them out of slavery. No storytelling for the future. No, not here, right? He led them out of slavery. Why he went to sit, meditate, and chat with God, so that the divine creator, so that he could write down exactly what they should do to remain out of slavery. The commandments are just the conduct. It's an insight of the divine. It's more of a commitment. It's more of a beingness. The Christ light cannot kill. The Christ light cannot steal. The Christ light cannot lie. The divine creator, otherwise it's not divinity. It's Luciferian. So what does that mean? It simply means, here's the steps to stay in here. So why Moses went to write it down and to sign, he is now the representative, right? He represented mankind. He represented all those people who came out of Egypt, all the slaves. He was the representative. And he stood in front and he wrote a contract, a covenant with the divine creator. A covenant is a contract. 2 parties, 2 documents. And he came down the mountain after writing it, and he's ready to go. Hey guys, look, we have signed documents. We have a trust, a covenant. We trust in the divine. And what were they doing? 80% of the old 80-20 rule, right? 80% of them were worshiping a golden calf. Just like the Olympics had. A golden calf up on the steps. Everybody was worshiping. And did you see all the people? They were bowing down to it. So they were worshiping a golden calf. They couldn't wait the little bit of time it took to go to the divine and get the law. They couldn't wait. And think about this for a minute. They were shown, just for a second, they were shown shit we've never seen in our lives. How many of you think your jaw would drop to the floor if you watched a man lift his staff and the sea just parted? How many of you think you would remember that for a long time? Would that not change your life? I know it would blow my doors off, and I know I'd be going, okay, what do I need to do? Look at the power behind that. Okay, I'm going to listen to you. They were shown that. All of Pharaoh's men were drowned. Look at all the stuff they were shown they were shown so much. They had the bread, they had everything. It's not just one act of divinity. Moses stood there and said, the next law you make, or the next, what do they call it, decree that you make, Pharaoh, will be on you. He's going to turn it around. It'll be back on your people. It was to kill the firstborn. And what happened? All of Pharaoh's people's kids died. Not Moses' people. The red, remember the mist that went on, turning the water red. Just one of those things would have made my head spin. And okay, whatever you say, yes, a massa, that kind of thing, right? How many did they see? 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know, 10? I don't remember them all. Let's say it was 5, because I can count 5 right away. And still, the hail of fire, absolutely right. Still, what it was like 2 days he went up there, or 10 days, I don't remember how long it was that he went. You can't be nice for 10 days. You're going to go back to worshiping a freaking and fornication and all this other stuff. It's exactly like now, Deborah. Deborah writes, it sounds just like now. It's exactly like now. And when Moses came down from the mountain, there was a few of them sitting off in the tents like this, watching all the evil craziness, right? They were in their tents going, There was such fornication, they were degrading men, degrading women, degrading everything, degrading life. And what did he say? If you're not going to live by the law, you will what? Die by the law. And then he threw the commandments down, and the earth opened up and swallowed all those people up. So you got to be crazy. I mean, the sea opened up and took half these people, and you're going to go, okay, I don't have to listen? Heck, we listen to policemen. Yes, sir, Mr. Policeman, I'll take my ticket like a good little girl or a good little boy. And they didn't listen to people who could part the seas. You got to think, how dumb were they? Right? You really got to think about that. But that law still stands. And like I said, Jesus said, he's here to fulfill the law, not create a new one. He spoke about, now, what is Jesus? This is where I was going. So because this is a trust, the first beneficiary was Adam. Adam screwed it up. I'm not the beneficiary. Negate. I apologize for that. Negate. The first executive trustee was Adam. Adam. I'm the executive trustee of my trust. And here's my trust, right? Here's my trust. It's one of the trusts. I'm the executive trustee of this. I have to follow the laws of this indenture. There's laws in here. Adam is the executive trustee of his trust. He's got to follow the laws of this indenture. I don't do what I'm supposed to do in this trust. Goes away. I have no more rights to it. Adam didn't do the one thing, just one. This is why I think they got to be really stupid back then. The one thing. Don't eat from the tree of knowledge. One little thing. 50,000 other trees with all kinds of fruit. Just don't touch that one. Chomp, chomp. So he took a bite of it. He lost executive trusteeship to this, and this was turned over to the satanic being. Who took it? The serpent. And now the serpent knows the law and has control over it. And we lost the trust. Yeshua came to get it back. Yeshua is executive trustee of this trust. I screwed up this trust. Right? Oh, it says here that I have to do a yearly meeting and I have to document it. That's the law. I didn't do a yearly meeting. I didn't document it. I screwed up. I lose my executive trusteeship. Got to find somebody better because I can't do it. Same thing. It's identical. And if you know how to write trusts, which I do, I have quite a few. If you know how to write trusts, when you look at this, oh my gosh. Remember I tell you, everything that's external of us is based off of us. How to write a trust is based exactly off of this. And the divine creator was so awesome with me. The higher aspects. I didn't read this. I did this first. I studied this for a whole decade. And it wasn't until 2015 that I started reading this. And my mouth dropped. My God. It's a trust. And the very first words of this actually states, you have dominion. What does a trust say? You have the authority. What is dominion? It is the authority. You have the authority to do this and this and this. You have dominion over the earth, everything in it, under it, on it, on top of it, in the air, everywhere. That means, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, you have dominion over the gold, the silver, and everything. It belongs to you. It does not belong to some government. And it says, but you must subdue it. I have the authority to decide where the meetings are going to be. I have the authority to decide what I can take out of here, how I can invest it, what I can do with it. I have that authority. Same thing. Same exact things. For different purposes. This one is to assist you to be aligned with this one. This one is to assist you to be one with the Christ light and to be free. This is free of the enslavement, but not as an individual. This is free into the light of the divine. This is ultimate freedom, free dominion. We don't have free dominion. This protects your dominion. This gives you the free dominion, freedom. And that is so very important. But you got to follow the indenture. You know what a lot of people do with trusts? This is a business trust, this particular one. All right. And it's to run a business. I can't take all the money out of this trust and use it for my personal. I'm going to buy clothes. Guess what? I'm going to have a nip and a tuck and a petty and a mani and whatever else they call all those things, right? I can't take the money out to do that. It belongs to the business of the trust. It's called embezzlement. I'll be in big trouble. I can look at jail time for that. It has its laws. I have to follow it. If I don't follow it, I'm in big trouble. This has its laws. This has all the laws. If I don't follow these, I'm in big trouble. I'm going to die. I'm not going to have eternal life. I'm not going to be best friends with my bro, Yeshua. It absolutely amazes me that people don't see this. And I'm not bragging. This is not coming from bragging, but I want to make this point. I don't know anybody else who's ever said this except me. And now everybody's starting to say it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 years later. I said this like 15 years ago, right after I started in 2015, whenever that was. The first time I read this. And I had Power, Passion, Freedom. It used to be called, no, it was still Power, Passion, Freedom. It wasn't Serenity Center Light. But I had Power, Passion, Freedom. And I was talking about it then. But if you don't know how trusts work, you're not truly going to get this. It's a trust. So, how do you find the truth of what's coded in here? Someone asked that a few seconds ago. You merely ask to see the truth. Now, remember what it says. This is a really important thing also. It says in the beginning, if you abide by the law, you'll have eternal life. If you don't abide by the law, you will have death. Right? Very simple. That's all. So, it also talks about the book of life. Are you written in the book of life? So when I was reading this one day, it was actually this one. Right? I'm reading it and I hear, if this book gives you, if you follow the laws of this trust, you have eternal life. I am in it reading the laws of this trust. Am I in the book of life? Exactly. Of course you are. That's what this is. This is the book of life. If you're written in the book of life, what does that mean? If you're written into the trust as a beneficiary, looky here. Let me get this for you. Do I have a yes? This is a sample trust. There's no names or anything on it. It says general trust. Okay, it's a sample that I used to show, so you don't have to worry about any documents here. This is a certificate. On the back of the certificate are my beneficiaries. This one has a lot of family. There's like 10 or 12 names, right? They're not names, it's just spots. I write the beneficiary of this trust that I want to leave whatever this trust has to them. They are written in the trust. What does it say in here? Remember the section? This one begets, 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 and to all future generations. If you follow the law, you will be written into the trust. And what are you guaranteed in this trust? Eternal life. The kingdom of the Most High, divine. A lot of good things. But if you're not written, then sorry, sucker, you're stuck in the Luciferian matrix. You're going to be a slave for the rest of your embodiments. This is what I don't get. Why people, they don't see this. This is so very important. And this book is only for the third level of Earth, the third dimension. Once you're past this, you don't need this anymore. See the importance of this? Follow the law. Now, if you don't want to follow the law, that's cool too. Guess what? So in this trust, let me see. I call it general resources. For those of you who have this, there are sections. Here's a section, here's a section, here's a section. Little sections. Here's section 7, just a little tiny thing. No executive trustee shall be required to obtain letters of authority from or the approval of any court in the exercise of any power conferred upon him or her, nor shall any executive trustee be required to take an oath or to furnish by any bond. That's the law. That's section 7.2 of the law. Does it sound like the law that we have in this world? Yes, section 7.2 of UCC Code 55. This is section 7.2 of the contract of indenture. Contract of indenture? We had 2 documents. They were a contract. And at the end, this is all the law. This is the law, this is the law, this is the law, 16 pages of law. You go through the law, 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 you go through the law. And then you sign it. 2 people sign it. And then, let me show you something else here. I don't have the whole trust in here, just parts of it, so I don't know if I have it. There's a covenant in here. The covenant's not in here, is it? No. Like I said, this is not an entire one. It's just what I use the samples to show people. It's a covenant. And the covenant is the same. Did God give us, is there a covenant between us and God? Is there a covenant in this book? Yep. Yes, there is. There's many covenants. But the big covenant which they speak about is eternal life. If you do this, I give you my word. You have eternal life. I give you my word, you will only see bows in the sky. Rainbows. After the flood. We knew I will not flood it again. I give you my word. It's a covenant. But it had to be a contract between 2. So the one about the rainbows was between who? Noah? The other one was between the representative, the executive trustee, Adam. And it was a covenant between the creator. Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Did I say that out loud? Every trust has a creator. It's just how it's done. I don't have the signed document. Oh, it would be on there. You could see it on the indenture, on the one of the beneficiaries. No, it's not on here. But there's a creator. Somebody created the trust. I guarantee you, 100% to God, to the divine creator, no one has my trust. I guarantee you it. I know for a fact, because my trust is written different than everybody else's. I don't use 3-dimensional words. I use this. And it's so different. But there's a reason for it. Because it's aligned in with, and what is Yeshua said? You cannot serve 2 masters. You cannot serve money. If you are going after money, if you are focusing on money, you're never going to have it. Because you're serving, let me rephrase that. You will have it, but not for what you want, not for the divine righteousness. If you are serving and chasing money, that's all you think about, you're in the Luciferian energy. If you're aligned with not chasing money, chasing the face of Jesus, as it says, what's more important? Then you'll have whatever you need. And it's not money. You don't need money. Money is just a tool for enslavement. Under Nasara and Jasara, when it happens, money is going to be like air. Not a big deal. Everybody will have so much of it, it won't be a big deal anymore because it's a slave tool right now. And that's the importance. It's so important to comprehend this. And I got to tell you, I'll be perfectly frank. We did a thing. We did get some of these trusts out to the originals, and you were supposed to read it. And I was supposed to have a webinar on it. Oh my gosh, the questions people were asking. It was the most horrible webinar I ever had. Nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, 80% of the people didn't read it. And they were asking me the most obvious questions. If you read it, you wouldn't be asking. Can we say almost 80% of the world hasn't read this? It's those, you must have self-determination. Self-determination is guaranteed, not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. We're self-governing, self-determination. You determine your life. You have free will. What's your choice? What is your choice? But I'm telling you, a whole decade spent on these things. I know this is inside and out. And everything in our world is based on trusts. Everything. To buy all that shit. To buy one, to buy two, to buy three, to main trust. Oh, please, they're all trusts. Every bank is a trust. That's why you don't own your money. Oh. Here we go. At least I know where it is now. Uh-oh, sneeze coming. Wait for it. Excuse me. Here's a check. You put your money in the bank. Appreciate that. You put your money in the bank, right? Here's a check. I cut off all my personal information, my own private information, right? Where's the signature? Over here. This is where you would sign. Let me see if I can get that zoomed in properly. Some of you know this already, but we have a lot of new people, so I'm going over it again, and I'm going to show you how it relates. Come on. Okay, that's the best. This is where you sign. There's a little MP there. It means micro print. And on that line, it's not a line. If you look at the rest of them, they're lines. You look at this under a microscope, which I can't do here. It's not a line. Go look at your checks. You got an MP, and the line states, as you read what it's written in tiny, tiny micro print, it says authorized signature. Hold on to that thought for a minute, okay? Now here, I'm the trustee. I have this trust. I am authorized to sign to move the money, to do whatever whatever in the law that it states I can do with the money. Maybe I want to invest for the trust. Maybe the trust wants to buy a house. Maybe the trust wants to buy vehicles. Whatever. I am authorized as trustee to sign the check. Now, I have a house. Maybe I bought this $1 trillion house and it's sitting there, okay? It's absolutely sitting there. And I have to pay pool people, housekeeping, groundskeeper, all this stuff. Maybe it's on the ocean, dock people to keep the boats cleaned, boat maintenance, the yacht maintenance, let's say we have a landing pad, right? The helicopter maintenance, all that maintenance on that house. There's so much of it. There's 20 cars in the garage. We got garage maintenance, all of it, right? I'm not going to do that. So I hire a general manager and I give him authorization. I give him a special code that anything that he signs must be complied to this code. So let's say it's just for mechanics. It must apply for the house. So he is authorized to sign a check for the upkeep, the maintenance of everything to do with the house. That's an authorized signature. And I'll call him the general manager of the $1 trillion house. Now, I may have a business in the trust, and the business does, I don't know, tattoos. I don't like that. Hair cutting. Well, I don't want to do and write the bills for the hair cutting, right? I'm the executive trustee. I oversee the entire trust. Do I want to sit and worry about, she has to order 50 gallons of dye and cleaner and towels and get the towels washed, and the company that comes charges $25 every 20 towels. Do I want to deal with that? No. So I hire a general manager of the hair cutting salon. And they are authorized to write checks from this trust having to do with only a hair cutting salon. However, if I'm looking at this, and there are ways where you can make that permanent, but let's say I'm not. If I'm looking at this and I see hair cutting salon bought a car, you go to jail. I didn't authorize you. I am the king honcho of this trust, right? I am the king of the queendom. This is my dominion. I am the executive trustee of this trust, and I did not authorize you for a salon to go out and buy a Porsche. You're going to jail. Right? I have the power and the authority over this because I'm the executive trustee. Now, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here it is. When you put your money in a bank, Wells Fargo, First American Trust Company, and it's not the First American. Oh, it says, excuse me, it says First American Bank. First American Trust Bank. That's what it said. Something like that. When I put my money into Wells Fargo, it's going into a trust. It went into a trust. Just like this. I'm not the executive trustee. There's some evil bastard running it as the executive trustee. Gangster, bangster, whatever you want to call them. And they're the executive trustee. But does that executive trustee really want to screw around with when I get my hair cut, when I need gas in my car, when I need food on my table, when I want to buy new dishes, when I want to buy a new mouse, oh, I need new computers, oh, I want to do Power, Passion, Freedom, oh, look, I want to send $5 to the little Francis monks so I can get this pretty book. Does the gangster bankster want to be bothered with all that? No. So he gives one of his corporate entities that comes from here. See, when I was born living. I'm not living anymore. I became part of the corporation. So he gives one of his corporate entities, Leana, authorization to sign things doing with Leana's life. He doesn't give me authorization. Now here, this is the most important thing to comprehend, and I'm going a little outside of the box, but hang on with me here. You have a trust called the SESQV. You're guaranteed the light, liberty, and everything. When you were born in your country, every country has a different name for it, kind of, but I'm not going into the SESQV Act and none of that. But in each country, you were given a big trust. So when you wanted to buy a house, the money comes out of your trust. When you want to do everything, it comes out of your trust. Okay? When you go to the bank, it's a trust. You put your money into the trust. You're just an authorized signature to play in Leana's world. This is a business. I'm a corporation. I'm called Leana Corporation, right? So I am the authorized general manager over Leana Corporation. I could buy food for Leana. I could buy hair for Leana. I could buy a new shirt. I could buy anything for Leana. I'm authorized for that. But they're not going to give you authorization to get to the bulk of your money. You can only utilize the money that you got from the slave system. They keep the real stuff. You get nothing. But that's why when you look at this and you see that little line there where it says MP, and you read, take a magnifying glass to that line, you will see that that line is not a line, it's words, and the words say authorized signature. You do not own the money you put in there. And this document when you were born and your mom and dad turned you over into the corporation and you became a corporate entity and you were certified. Ooh, you got certified. Can anybody tell me what this word says here? Certificate. This is your certificate of trust. You are now certified into the trust as a beneficiary, no more as the trustee. You were taken from, when you were living, breathing, you were the trustee, and now you are a beneficiary. You got no rights, in plain English. And I'll tell you all something else. None of these gangster banks are done statutory trusts. No, that's for the slaves, so they can control more. All the gangster bankster trusts are done these trusts. That's why they don't like us having them. Does all that make sense? It was a lot. Everybody send kudos to Alan when he talked about the law book. That's where all this came from. Do you see how important this is? Now, if you just do this, they can take it from you. Why? Everybody's heard of the Frank Dodd Act. They can take all the banks going under. They can take everybody's money. At any time, the bank can take your money. Why? You don't own it. You're just the Momo, the general manager, who can sign for the corporation called Leana, called Jill, called Fallon, called Carlin, called Tanya, called whatever. You're just the general manager for that corporation. I'm a corporation, you're a corporation. Wouldn't you want to be a corporation too? Right, that song? We're all corporations. And as such, I'm a general manager of my own corporation. But I'm not the head honcho. I'm a few steps down. I'm not the executive. Chief executive officer? Executive? Anybody home? Do you see where they get the terms from? Every corporation, the big ones, are trusts. You have a chief executor. He's your executive trustee. He's the chief one. Then you got a co-executor, the vice president executive, right? They're all executives. Don't they go, you got to go to the executive offices? Why do you think they call them executives? They're all trustees. You can have 100,000 trustees of a trust. Co-trustee, co-trustee, co-trustee. You can have just trustees. Trustee, general manager is a trustee. I can hire a pool man. He can be a trustee, but he's not the executive. The executive trustee is the one that pulls all the strings and controls everybody. I can have 7 other trusts under this trusts. This trust could hold, this trust could hold, this trust could hold, this trust. I can go on until expansiveness beyond. And I am the trustee, the executive trustee of this one, which means I'm the executive trustee of everybody. I own nothing, but I control everything. Oh, does that sound familiar? We never heard the Kennedys say that. We never heard Howard Hughes say that. We never heard any of the rich people say that, right? Just saying. So you need to kind of make sense of what this really is. Who's the head honcho of this trust? The head executive. Nobody higher. Who is it? Divine Creator. And Divine Creator brought this. Why? Well, let's go back for a little. Why is the divine creator the head dude of this one? The head. Because this is a trust of God. It's a covenant by God with you. Divine creator. Okay? Who's the second one under this? The co-trustee. Yeshua. Nope, Yeshua is. We are written on this list, written in the book of life. We are written as beneficiaries. We are written as a beneficiary. If, and only if we follow the laws of the trust. Am I going, let's go down to 3D here. I've got a trust. I'm going to put people as beneficiaries to this trust, right? Am I going to leave my trust? I'm a righteous individual. Am I going to leave this trust to a satanic creep? No, I want to leave it to someone I know who's going to be in line with my thinking, who can continue this trust for future generations to build the kind of world I wanted to build the kind of dominion I wanted this trust to build. So I croak, someone else takes over. I have a successor trustee until an interim trustee until a successor trustee is appointed, which is in the trust. I chose who I wanted to continue this. And they're written in the trust, in the book of the trust. They're written in the book of the trust. Huh. Yeshua has the right to choose who he wants to be beneficiaries, to take over what his intention was for his dominion. He wants to continue in divine righteousness. You think he's going to give the trusteeship to Satan or any of his minions? Heck no. He wants the people who are standing in divine righteousness, who are of like mind, like deeds, like actions, to build what he was building for mankind. He's not going to pick a jerk, an idiot. He's not going to pick someone who cannot stand up and make decisions. He's not going to pick weenies. He's going to pick those that stand in the same light as he does. And that's the Christ light. There's no difference. Remember, there's two sets. I tell you, all the rich do not have statutory trust. Only the morons out there who are slaves have statutory. What's a statutory trust? It belongs to the statutes. Statutory trusts suck. In plain English. They're just to keep you enslaved. This gets you out. This is in line with this. It's written the same. Statutory trusts are not written the same as these at all. Oh, but all the evil people who have all this money, the Rothschilds, they have, look at Howard Hughes. Everybody said the richest man in the world, right? Everybody said he died penniless. Bullcrap. All his money was in these. He doesn't own it. And if you don't own money, but you can control it all, Are you in line with you cannot serve two masters? It's the only way you become aligned with this. If you give your money to Satan and you spend your life working for it, utilizing it to buy food, utilizing it to do everything in your life, you're in the satanic system. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, because I care about individuals. I am do my very, very best, my very, very best. Every effort I have, I do with Christ light intention. Do I make mistakes? Yeah. Do I fall into my own emotional crap once in a while from my childhood? Yes. Did I go through a really tough time the last few months? Yes. But I'm here still, and I never left. I stayed in the Christ light the best I knew how. I had my trials and tribulations, and I made it. I'm still here. That's with every one of us. Keep moving forward. Everything, but I kid you not. As sick as I was, I never let Yeshua, I never said, F you, Yeshua. I did, but I never let Yeshua out of my life. I could have been screaming at him, are you crazy? I can't take anymore. I thought you're supposed to be handling this shit. What are you doing up there? Sitting on your thumb spinning? I mean, you should hear some of my conversations with him. That's what you do for me? You promised me all this shit, now and this is what I always would get. Are you done? He'd let me do my rant, and then I would get, are you done? Have I ever let you down? No. But it wasn't happening, what? In my time. So, when you're ranting and raving because things aren't going your way, rant and rave to Yeshua. He'll listen. Boy, does he listen. And he does. And here's the good thing. Husbands, wives, if you're ranting and raving to your wife or your husband, they're going to rant back at you. Guaranteed, eventually. They'll sit quiet for a while, but sooner or later, you're going to poke the bear the wrong way, and it's going to come back growling at you. I don't care how much you poke Yeshua, he doesn't come back growling. You can rant and rave for 20 hours, and he will never come back growling at you. All he ever sits to me is go, you done? You finished? You feel better? Now let me ask you something. Have I ever let you down? Nope. Then what's your problem? Get a little faith. And then it's a joke. He's like, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. He has a covenant with you. He has an absolute covenant. And you see, the covenant was so hard to stand by in the Luciferian world. They're not stupid. They know how hard it was for us to stand in the word of divine righteousness. That's why he came here, the whole blood thing, the cross, the crucifixion. What is the main point of that? Don't just blurt something out. Think, what is the main point of the crucifixion? Nope. Kind of, Patricia, but there you go, Valerie. He defeated death. What and who is death? The satanic Luciferian energy, see? He defeated him. He was the executive trustee of this trust for quite some time, and he beat it. And he became took back the trust. Satan proved unworthy. Yeshua beat death. Because what's the choice you have here? Between life and death. And mankind chose death. So we needed somebody who was righteous enough to get out of the death system and bring us back into eternal life system. And Yeshua did it. And they don't want you to know any of this. They want you to believe in religion, to religion you into their beliefs. That's not the truth. It is not by any means the truth. And we're all finding that out. Lots of you are finding that out now. So it's your choice. Choose wisely, dear one. Choose wisely. Hi, I'm Leana from PowerPassionFreedom.com. If you liked what you heard, why don't you come and join us on Sundays? We do a whole free question and answer period followed by a meditation. Bring all your questions. All you have to do is go to PowerPassionFreedom.com to register for Sunday. Oh, and don't forget to like us and subscribe to us below because we're always adding new meditations and content and you don't want to miss out on it. I'll see you Sunday.